Well, welcome to the top of the morning show, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe that the show that I recorded this morning for 6 a.m. was nothing but music. It didn't pick up my volume, so I didn't know I was having any technical issues. And I'm learning it this morning as I'm continuously driving in and getting ready to actually enjoy the show, I thought, or so I thought. But glory to God, because I did a little prelude just to tell you that it was going to be an amazing show, and we're talking about Tell Your Stories. And wouldn't you know it, I turned it on and listened. I'm like, okay, maybe my intro music is super long, but it wasn't that it was super long. It only picked up my music and not my voice. And because I'm about God's business, because I do what I can do as a podcaster to do the right thing, I try to make sure that I'm in alignment with what's going on. So I'm gonna wing it. I'm winging it. I'm recording. I got my eyes on the road, so no worries about that. And it's later than normal because I didn't know it didn't pick up the voice. This reminds you to always check your work, and normally I do, but I was in a hurry and I didn't. But that's okay because guess what? It's a part of my story. And we all have a story to tell, as I was saying earlier this morning when I wanted to remind you to listen this morning. And we don't have to be famous. I'm not famous. I'm just the girl next door type of girl, right? A woman that's after God's heart. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be a celebrity. You can be the gas station attendant, the pharmacist. We all have a story to tell. And believe it or not, your story is powerful. It's perfectly aligned with your testimony. People be driving crazy. When I tell you they be driving crazy, I don't want to be by you, girl. This woman driving crazy. Yeah, so I'm on my way to work, but I ain't about to be out here with these fools because some people are foolish out here. You know, I'm not trying to be no type of big semi truck. You see accidents all the time. And, you know, I understand traffic, and I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it as I'm riding in, and I'm talking with you this morning. But I'm like, I'm not going to be driving erratic, though. I'm not going to be the reason why I don't make it on time. I'm not going to be the reason why somebody don't make it. I'm not going to be the reason why I can't make it. I'm not. I'm just not. And although this person rushing and doing all this stuff, they got to be patient. They got to be patient. It goes with your story, right? You got to be patient. And when you're telling your story, you got to realize that your story is going to mimic someone else's story because there's nothing new under the sun. See, God said it in His Word in Ecclesiastes 3:1-9. Now, y'all know that's one of my favorite books, y'all, but it's true. He said there's a time for everything to manifest. There ain't nothing new under the sun. Everything we do is actually recycled. And that's why I always tell people, if we look at His Word, we can really understand what's really going on. We don't have to be surprised anymore. We don't have to be shocked. We don't have to be shocked about what's going on anymore. We can really, really look at life and say, you know what? You know what? This has happened before. And sometimes we can get a clue, right? Sometimes we can get a clue like, oh, my God, this has already happened, right? And yet, we don't always know what that looks like. We can be confident that God is the editor of your story. Yeah, He's the editor of your story. And there's people that's begging to have their story told. And some of you are great writers, and some of you are not, but some of you are great speakers. And if you're a great speaker, then you are in position to tell your story. Believe it or not, when people do Facebook Live, people scroll by. And a lot of times, I think it's because we don't want to hear our story. We run and hide from what's going on in our own lives, that when we hear someone else or we see someone else going through, some will stay and listen because they want to know how this person is getting through it. And some will say, I don't deal with my own life story this way, and yours sound familiar, and I don't want to deal with yours, nor hear how you're dealing with it, because I'm not dealing with it. And I know that sounds deep, but it's true. See, all of our lives are important and meaningful. We all have purpose attached to us. My life is not any more important than yours, and your life is not any more important than mine. But we all have a story that we have to tell. We're constantly inviting people in our world every day, whether we know it or whether we don't. And yet we walk different paths. We have to really look at it and say, is it worth fighting for? Is this something I need to deal with? Because sometimes you get writer's block when you pause and you deal with things that really is out of your control. And I'm metaphorically speaking when I say writer's block. Your story is not completely being written authentically when you get writer's block. And it's one thing when you get writer's block because you're somewhere and you're stagnant and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself today. But when you're interrupted by other people's life stories, your story gets put on pause, or you become confused and discombobulated that you can't even finish your own story. And some people don't recognize their story. They don't know their story because they've been told what their story is going to be, or what it should be, what it should look like, what it is. And that's not always true. You got to recognize your own story, y'all. And you got to be able to tell that story. And you can. And it's through your experiences, your trials, your tribulations, our history, our past. It assists us with writing our current. And it gives you substance for your future. Now, we don't know if we'll get to complete our story. We don't know if we'll get to complete the beautiful novel about your life. But in the meantime, live it out loud. Live it for you. Stop living it for other people. Well, they need me. Yeah, we all need somebody. But they can't need you so much that you stop living for you. That you putting your life on hold so you could do for them, but they still living, and they're if you haven't thought about that, think about this. You put your life on hold to help somebody live their life better, providing opportunities for them so that they can have a better life. And I'm not talking about our children when they're at that age when they need you to do that. That's when you do it. From infant to toddler to adolescent to teenager. Now, we'll always continue to give, but not put your life on hold to give when they become adults. Because let me be clear, and I'm going to give you some hard, cold facts. And some of y'all are going to be grieved in your spirit. Some of y'all are going to be sad. You're not going to be shocked because you know this part. If you die tomorrow, your daughter, your son, your niece, your nephew, your grandchild that you're living for and putting your life on hold, your sister, your brother, your mother, your father. Now, I'm not talking about the elderly where they need you, where they're going through and they're physically unable or mentally unable. I'm not talking about those type of parents, but those parents that want to live reckless and do what they want to do because they're grown and they can, but you putting your life on hold to make it better for them because you want to see them win. We all want to see them win. We want to see our kid win, our children win, our grandchild or grandchildren win, our siblings win, our friends win. But guess what, friend? What about you winning? See, some of y'all put your lives on the back burner and you say, I'm going to deal with that later because I know I can, but life can beat you down so terribly. And when you're getting beat down for other people so that they can live and win, you're going to look up and you're going to realize you didn't get to finish your book. You didn't get to write your story completely. You got pages that weren't written on because you had the story. You wanted to get it told, but you had to wait and become a ghostwriter for other people. Now, you know I'm metaphorically speaking. Some of you will get this 100%, and some of you will have to think, but maybe that's what it's about. Maybe you need to ponder. Maybe you need to pause for a moment and think about your story because your story is important. As a matter of fact, your story is so important, it is the substance for someone else's story. See, we get inspired by people today, whether it's good or not. We learn to get through some of the toughest moments every day by somebody else's story. But if you don't tell it, somebody that needs you, that's been perfectly aligned with you, they won't know what to do because you didn't continue writing. You didn't continue telling. So I'm going to ask you on this beautiful Friday morning, and at this point, although it's supposed to have been 6 o'clock this morning, unfortunately, technology, nope, didn't go down. It's 8:45 on Friday the 13th. I want you to tell your story, lady, man, woman, gentleman, queen, king, girl, boy, prince, princess, because we all are royalty in our spirit. We all are beautiful people. Smile. Don't let nobody take your joy. And when you recognize that they're trying to take your joy, close it down. Remove yourself. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Because their thoughts ain't got to be your thoughts. What they're saying to you ain't necessarily true, right? It's not necessarily true. It's what they said. But because that's what they said, that might not be what God said. Okay? That's all I got for you on this beautiful Friday. Enjoy it, whether you are traveling or you're riding, you're sitting at home stable, whatever that looks like. You at work, you at school, you don't know what you're getting ready to do, you're thinking about planning something, whatever it is. Enjoy it. Take your time and enjoy writing it line by line. Use a pencil so you can erase any error because we're not perfect people. I'll see you soon.